Hi everybody and welcome back to my fortnightly vlog. So today I want to talk to you about how really small things can make a really big difference in terms of your mindset. So as you'll know, I'm a mindset transformation coach and I came to this world because I was really struggling with my nerves when horse riding and particularly competing. Since really delving into the world of mindset though and personal growth, what I can really recognise is how without noticing it and without knowing, I was causing myself an awful lot of anxiety, worry and stress. Now, anxiety levels are massively on the rise and have been in particular for the last 10 years, but even so for the last 20 years. And I want to share with you today things that I do, even when life gets really, really busy, that don't take up huge time, that I do them every day, and it keeps me feeling really, really good. So I think as humans, we have this kind of idea that if we're going to do something, we're kind of all or nothing. So to feel really good in your mind and your body, you have to live in a yoga retreat and you have to drink celery juice all day and eat lettuce and basically spend your whole day meditating. Now, let's be real, who has the time to do that? And also, is that really what we want to be doing? Probably not. So I have a busy life, like most people. I'm running my own business, I've got my own horses, I'm looking after my house, I've got dogs, I've got cats, and when the non-pandemic life permits, I've got things that I want to be doing, like competing, like seeing friends and family, that sort of thing. However, what I've learned over the last few years is it's entirely possible for me to have a really busy life and feel good with putting in place some practices that I do on a daily basis, and they are non-negotiable. And I'm going to share those with you shortly because they are what get me and keep me in a really good headspace regardless of what happens. Now, going back a number of years, before I massively changed my life, I wasn't doing any of the daily practices that I'm going to share with you today. And I was doing a lot of other things that I hadn't realised were making me feel bad too. And it's no surprise that I felt anxious, tired, stressed, overwhelmed, and really that I was at the end of my tether on more times each week than is advisable. So I've been there, I've made changes, they fit into my now busy life and they make me feel really good. So I'm all about sharing what I've learned and what works for me, because that is a way that I can help clients to understand how we have much more control than we realise over how we feel. So as a kind of foundation on a day-to-day basis, I make sure that I do a number of things. Number one priority is getting good quality sleep. So I generally go to bed at the same time and I generally get up at the same time. And there's things that I do around that to make sure that the quality of the sleep is there. So I don't have screens within an hour before I go to bed. I make sure that I'm hydrated. I make sure that I eat within a couple of hours, like less than a couple of hours before I go to bed, so that I'm not digesting food as I'm trying to go to sleep. And I make sure that I allow my body to wind down. So I also make sure that I eat well generally through the day and through the week. I don't have too much sugar. I eat lots of fresh food. Processed food is absolutely kept to a minimum. I make sure that I exercise so that I'm moving my body. My lifestyle supports that, but even when it doesn't and I'm in a different situation, I will always make sure that I move my body. And I make time to relax. So I make sure that I'm not working in the run up to when I'm planning to go to sleep, and that I take time out. So all of those things are foundational to me. And like everybody else, there are times when it's much easier to do that and other times when it's more challenging. So recently I went on a trip to visit some friends up in Belgium for a few days and got all the normal COVID tests and everything else that I needed to do, and everything was fine. And while I was up in Belgium, I was off visiting shows with my friends that I went to see. So it was very busy, we were on the go, and I made sure that I had a good breakfast. It was more difficult for me to control what I ate later on in the day. I'm a vegetarian. It's not always possible to get decent or vegetarian food at showgrounds. It's easier in Belgium than in France, I have to say. And I wasn't really in a position to take my own food. I took food from home for the journey up there and I had food for the way back down. and I didn't eat as kind of cleanly, if you like, as I normally would during the days. However, I made sure that I had a healthy breakfast, which for me was overnight soaked oats with chia seeds, honey, Greek yogurt and strawberries. So that kind of sets me up well for the day. I also made sure that I drank plenty of water, and I needed to because it was hot. The other thing that I do every day without fail is my gratitude journal. Now, when I'm at home, it's pretty much the first thing I do when I get up. I'll get up, make a cup of tea, do my gratitude journal, and all of that will happen before I even pick up my phone. So I'm getting into the space of, what am I grateful for in my life? What do I appreciate? I really get into the vibe of that. And every day I make a note of a total of 20 things. You can do just 3, and that's how I started out. I now do 20, I do 17 in the morning, and I do 3 in the evening. And I make sure that I do that every day. And it's really important, because when you're grateful for something and you recognize what you're grateful for, you cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time. So it just starts to switch things in your mind away from worry and anxiety and towards what you feel grateful for. So there's a really good tip. I also do every morning a guided meditation, and I've done it almost for a year now, because it tells me every day the consecutive days. This one is guided where you can do other things as you're listening to it. So I do mine when I'm feeding the horses every morning. It's 15 minutes in my ears, lots of positive messages, really gets my day off to a good start. And because I do it when I'm feeding the horses, it happens every day. So it's a no-brainer. I make it easy for myself. Every evening I do a hypnosis that's also guided, which takes 15 minutes. I have that as part of my evening routine that helps me to wind down. And I did all 3 of these, the guided meditation, the guided hypnosis, and my gratitude journal, every day while I was away. Life was really busy, and it would have been really easy for me to go, oh, I haven't got time. But actually, what I know to be true is I make time for things that are important. There's always 10 or 15 minutes in a day if you make it that way. And an old version of me would totally have subscribed to the, well, I haven't got the time, I'm too busy. And I would have felt the poorer for it. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you don't have to spend 4 hours a day meditating. You don't have to do yoga for 2 hours a day. You don't have to spend time in solitude to actually start to put the foundations in place to make you feel good. And the reason why this makes a difference is you are retuning your mind for relaxation. You're retraining your brain to look for things that you appreciate rather than things that you're unhappy about. And it becomes a habit. Now, for me, it's commitment to myself. It's commitment to feel good. I've been in a space where I don't feel great, and it is not where I want to be. So these small practices done daily keep me in a good space. Now, modern life really supports feeling anxious and being worried of feeling like you're too busy. So I choose, and I would encourage you to as well, override that sort of I haven't got time, it's too much, etc. feeling, because that's probably your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe. The subconscious doesn't like change. The subconscious thrives on what it knows. And if your subconscious knows worry, stress, anxiety, panic, then you choosing to take 10 minutes out to do a guided visualization every morning is a concern for it. You can, though, at this stage with your willpower, override that just by putting it alongside something else, like I do with feeding the horses. And slowly but surely, what happens is, if you're up anxiety and worry here, you start to, and this is relaxation here, you start to change the balance, and over time it becomes easier. So I'm not saying that you need to make a massive shift in order to feel good. Start off with something small and do it every day, and make the commitment, because everybody's got 10 minutes. We'll spend 10 minutes scrolling Instagram or 10 minutes chatting to a friend on Messenger. What you prioritise is what's important to you. If you don't prioritise and it's not important, everybody can find 10 minutes in a day. So even though I was really busy while I was away, and I didn't eat as well as I would normally do, I came back feeling great. I got back into my routine, which meant that I was not out late. Not that we had particularly late nights, but one of the shows we were back from was quite late. But it's not a problem. That's life. That's what happens. When I reflect back on my life 10 years ago, when I was having busy, stressful times in my corporate career, I would come back and have like 3 glasses of wine and eat at 9 o'clock at night, and then wonder why I'd wake up at 1 in the morning and feel terrible and not be able to get back to sleep, and why I was an awful lot heavier than I wanted to be. I wasn't exercising, I wasn't moving my body. I wasn't living my life with intention. And I'm sure there are some people that will be a little bit like, oh my goodness, you do all of that stuff every day. Doesn't it feel really regimented? Yeah, it does feel really regimented, and I feel really good for it. So if being regimented is actually what it takes to have me feel good, and when something happens that's out of the ordinary, I feel well placed to be able to respond to it in a calm manner that suits me, rather than exploding and ending up on the ceiling, then yeah, I will absolutely take that. So what I really want you to take away from today's vlog is it's entirely possible to put small things into your daily routine to make you feel good. And you might be really surprised just how quickly they start to make a difference to how you feel. So if you would like to know more, or you're interested in making a bigger change in your life, feel free to get in touch. You can find me online at www.beyourbestYet.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook at Be Your Best Yet, and on Instagram too. Any questions that you've got, I would love to hear from you. Take care, everybody.